Joe, very welcome to have you on Bloodstock TV.
Thank you for having me, mate. I'm just on my lunch at work, so you know what I mean? You're getting me in my work shirt, being chilled. So, yeah.
Well, the first thing I have to start off by saying is just, I mean, a massive congratulations on this album. It really is, just for people out there that haven't heard it, this is an epic body of work. And I know it's subjective, but I'm telling you, this is just something else. So congratulations on this wonderful album that is coming out in August. Now, we're going to get into it a little bit, but I'm curious to just find out now at this point where the album is completed and it's finished, and you're now awaiting, you know, each little slice and single is going to come out. But the relationship for you personally with the album now before it's released into the world, I mean, how does that feel about this body of work? How do you feel about that?
Do you know what? It's there's pride every sort of time. So like, I kind of listen to something. I was like talking to a friend earlier, and I just watched the video and listened to it. And it's weird how songs can change when you listen to it, but with the video. And I watched it with Ocean, and obviously I've seen teasers of it pop up all week. But I listened to it and I thought, do you know what? That's a really fucking good song. And I think I don't want to go back to it too much. I don't want to keep going and listening to it, looking at the artwork. But I've not really read like the lyrics because it's a bit of a heavy subject matter. But you know, I've kind of, you know, I've had to reread some of them because we played some at the weekend. But I'm a bit more protective about this one compared to the last. This one means a hell of a lot more to me, the guys in the band and my family, and I feel like it's very raw. I feel like you don't need to be. I'm not like a poet. I feel like if you read the songs, I think you're gonna get an idea of what it's all about. And there's obviously a lot of people who can relate to that in all different situations. And putting out the first song, you know, it's kind of giving away. You know, there's 8 tracks, and it's kind of giving away one of them. You know, that's not mine anymore. That's everyone.
I'll say, as some will know, the album was actually recorded in New York at Silverchord Studios, which, if anyone is aware of that place, anyone that is a Gojira fan will know that it's Joe's baby. That's where Gojira actually create and craft all their fantastic music. Just briefly talk us through that and how it came about.
So it's funny how this whole process now, it goes back to the album release day of Serpent and Spirit. So we put out the album and kind of sitting on there, and we got tagged in something, and I was like, oh, okay, thought nothing of it. And the same person tagged us again, like with another picture with one of the songs playing. And I opened it and I was like, Jean-Michel from Gojira. And all I could automatically, like my whole thought process was, there must be another band, because it's a European spelling of Urne. As we get reminded all the time that us Brits, it looks like urine, and everyone thinks they're the first one to tell us. I'm like, fucking hell. And I was like, fuck. So, and then I kind of reached out, and it turns out, no, he didn't make a mistake. He just fucking loves metal. 4 or 5 months passed. One night, Silverchord start following us and getting like a little message, just love the stuff, blah blah blah. So we kind of just like reached out and was just like, basically, is it possible to use the drum ring? I thought, let's go over there for 4 or 5 days and use an engineer and track the drums. And Joe come back with, yeah, but we kind of said, I would actually like to be involved in this one. And obviously we were like, right, okay. And then it went from there, and then we went and hung out with him in Copenhagen at a show, and it just kept building and building. And he's an extremely busy guy, so there would be times when I was like, you won't hear from him, and I'm like, oh no, he doesn't want to do it. And
was there immediate chemistry when you guys got there?
But yeah, kind of going in there, it's great. It's a really fucking great studio. Once you kind of get the first days out of the way, and then everyone's got a job to do. We just, you know us, like, you know, we're pretty normal lads who just truly love heavy music, and it's a mad privilege. And I think next time, fingers crossed, if we get to do it again, I think I'll be kind of a much more at ease, instead of like, I was doing vocals and Randy from Lamb of God called him on FaceTime, and I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the catalyst, the inspiration behind the album. And I know just from being your friend, I know what was going on with you. But again, as I stress, without intrusion, just talk about what you want to talk about here, as well as when you explain about the personal influence you had with the album in putting it together. Was there any kind of inner conflict about how far you wanted to go with the lyrics in terms of what you wanted to write about, or did you just kind of figuratively just kind of open up and let it all flow out?
The kind of catalyst for it all is like people getting a terminal disease, illness, and sadly for me, we had 2 people in my immediate family did the same thing, and just kind of sitting there. One of them, sadly, it took very quick, and the other one, it's a process, and it's my story of the process from the moment we got told to what is going to happen at the end and what is going to happen beyond that. So, there's the opening track, The Flood Came Rushing In, is essentially about, I remember we got told, and I just remember watching the person in front of me, the tears fall onto the table, and that's what started that. To die twice is essentially what this disease makes you do. It's weird because I heard, funny enough, Dave Mustaine talking about it in something a few years ago, and it's essentially that person says, it's the sort of everything goes before the body goes, A stumble of words is the moments watching someone talk and then all of a sudden it's like gone. That moment, that thing that they were halfway through talking about, that's gone. The burden is what it's been put onto my family. Becoming the ocean, that's literally where we live. We live in front of the sea, and it's just watching how that can bring you down, how that can crush, and we moved to this place, and it's kind of just tying that in with what the story is. But with that song, that was one when we was in the studio where Joe had a massive influence on that. It's weird, like what he's done to it, what he made me change and whatnot. Thank God, because it wouldn't have been as good as the song. A Feast on Sorrow, the actual song, that's written from another point. How do people live a life of just living a really nice straight life and never got any trouble, and then one day that's it. Today that's going to stop for you. Life you're living with, that's that now. That's done. You're going to live the rest of your few years on earth in stress, misery, grief before anything happens. And it's almost wrote from, I guess, a point of view of death without really touching on it too much. And it's a heavy track, and it just felt right doing that. Peace was a little. I just wanted something. It's a heavy, intense album. I just wanted something just to break that up before the finale. Yeah. The finale is a 12-minute track. I wanted something to kind of just bring it all down. Yeah. We were in the studio, and Joe gave Angus this old battered acoustic guitar. I don't think it had been restrung in fucking years, and he just made him play just the notes. Joe's just looking at us, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here, mate. And it was like a really nice moment. So Joe was just leave it with me. I was on the way home, and Joe sent me a WhatsApp message, and I was like, well, what's this going to be? I had my headphones in, and it was the song. He had worked on it, and he had taken noise from the subway underneath the station. He's playing whatever traditional instruments. You've got us guys talking in the background, faintly, piano, and he's just added all this stuff in around the simple thing that Angus put, and it killed me. It killed me, and that's why it's called Peace. I just felt that was perfect for that moment. The last track, The Long Goodbyes and Where Do the Memories Go, it's, if you listen to it, there's a point where it goes into something else. And for me, it is the end of the journey, and how will that person know when they're gone, because they forget you know, they forgot all that stuff. Will they know? Like, and that's to me, that's a really horrible sort of thing. And having to recently have just seen it, you know, really recently, just going like, what a way to have lived your life, and in the last few years you don't even know. You know, and that's that. And I just felt like with that track listing, I felt like on the last album we didn't get it completely spot on. I think there was too much mucking around, whereas this, it was the perfect time to break it up, was right near the end, and then we go for one last big fucking hurrah. And like each song kind of has a story based around this thing that's happened to my family over the last, you know, 2 or 3 years. I feel I'm glad I wrote about that.
The track listing in its own right, without me knowing in detail what each song meant personally prior to that, it just makes so much sense, and it's beautifully laid out. As funny as that sounds, and I mean that in a delicate way, you know. Okay, so the album is coming out in August. Right before, it's coming out August 11th, am I right?
Yes.
11th, which is, you know, Bloodstock will be in full force. So this is essentially the very, very first show that you're going to be playing post-album release. But this is the big one. You are up on the Ronnie James Dio stage on the Saturday. You must be excited about that show.
Yeah, I mean, automatically, whenever I think about it, I do picture it with sun. This is the first time I'm really kind of think about a show where I'm like, this could be a real moment here. If we get everything spot on and we play to our best and everything runs smooth and everything goes to plan, and we just play the best we can, and I do what I can do, I've really felt like this is the first ever time in my life I'm like, there could be a moment there for us. I've never felt about a show where I'm like, this feels special to me. I've not even turned up yet, and I just want the day to go perfect. And thankfully, you know, I've got a number of friends who work there, and I feel like a real loving from a lot of them, especially Mr. Hall, where it's just like there's a sense of pride, and I really hope that we live up to everyone's expectations.
Can we expect a Urne headline run of dates, maybe after Bloodstock into the autumn?
I think there's sort of an idea with that, but I think where we are at the moment, if we did it and it just maybe didn't come off right, it would be a bit of a knock. I think for us at the moment, I think before we do a UK headline, I think we need to know kind of where we lay within the UK. I think we kind of taken people by surprise. We seem to be, people keep calling us the band's band, and I take that as a massive respect. We could go out, and at the moment it's just not right for us, and we could go out on a headliner, and it just doesn't quite work yet. I mean, it might be better for us to do a year down the road, and maybe it's worth us getting out some very solid touring. I think for myself, when we do the UK, we want it to be perfect, because it's the hometown, it's the home country, and but it has to be spot on. That's one thing. I really want everything to be perfect before we do it, because I don't want to be in that stage where we do it and it's not right and that be it. It's a thing. I think it's a slow process to build up to it. But definitely there'll be something connected. There'll be obviously something next year. Could be actually even at the end of this year, but I'm saying that there's nothing to tell me that is the case.
Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me.
I'll see you there.
All right, man. Cheers.